I've always been curious how a tower crane hundreds of meters high is built, and how to keep balance and lift hundreds of tons of heavy objects without collapsing. Turns out that before installing the tower crane, below the ground, a huge concrete foundation must be poured first, so that the tower crane will not move from its position. After the foundation is completed, first a telescopic boom crane to build the tower body section by section. The old tower is not a whole piece, but made up of many standardized modules. These modules are called masts, but the problem is, the telescopic boom crane can only build the tower base to 15 to 20 meters. How can it reach a height of over 100 or 200 meters? How do they get to the top? Before we talk about how it grows taller, we need to understand how the tower crane works. The reason why the tower crane can rotate is because at the top of the tower, there is a slip ring induction motor installed. This kind of motor has a feature that is very suitable for heavy machinery. It rotates slowly, but with great torque, through external resistors, can generate great torque at low speed. It is very suitable for this kind of tens of tons that rotates slowly. Under the drive of the motor, there is a huge revolving gear. The cab, crane, and counterweight all rotate around it. This core structure is called a turntable. You will notice that the tower base won't rotate all the time. It usually rotates for about 1.5 turns. It will be forced to stop by the limit switch. If it continues to rotate, the cable will be directly twisted off. Look at this long boom in front. Can extend to 70 meters. Such a long pole. If the front end only extends outward, the whole crane would have been pulled over by itself. So a counterweight arm must be installed at the back, and a 15 to 20 ton counterweight on it. This is to keep the center of gravity of the crane always on the main tower. Once the center of gravity moves out of the tower, the crane will be pulled down, even when it is empty, because the counterweight is too heavy. The tower base is slightly pressed backward, ready to counter the load in front at any time. On the crane's boom, there is a very critical trolley. The trolley moves back and forth along the boom track, which is driven by the motor through a drum, through a set of bidirectional wire rope structure, to achieve forward and backward movement. In simple terms, one side releases the rope, and the other side takes up rope. The trolley can be precisely pulled to the designated position. Since the operator is in the cab dozens of meters high, it is impossible to see where the trolley is. So limit switches are installed at the end of the track. Once the trolley reaches the end, the motor stops immediately to prevent collisions. Due to the limited view, a tower crane is usually operated by 2 people, one in the cab and one on the ground, and they communicate through walkie-talkies. The one who is really responsible for lifting the heavy object is not at the front of the boom, but in the lifting system behind the tower crane. Here is also a powerful slip ring induction motor, which drives the drum through gears to wind up the wire rope. The reason why it can lift 100 tons is not because it rotates fast, but because it rotates slowly, but it has great strength. There is also a brake installed nearby. Once the motor stops, the brakes will lock immediately. Otherwise, such a heavy cargo, the next second it will be a free fall. The wire rope starts from here and passes through the main pulley at the top of the tower, which hides sensors. Once overloaded, the system will immediately alarm, or even shut down directly, prevent the entire tower crane from being pulled apart. Why can't the crane lift heavier loads at a distance? This is mainly because, for example, when the trolley is close to the tower, the heavy object is close to the turntable, the overturning moment is small, so it can lift 100 tons. But once the trolley moves forward, the distance increases. Even if the weight remains unchanged, the overturning moment will increase exponentially. The front end of the boom can only lift 5 to 6 tons. 1 more ton will make the whole tower crane at risk of tipping. How does the tower crane adjust its height? In the middle of the tower body, there is a device called a climbing frame, which looks like a huge box outside the tower body, which hides a complete hydraulic lifting system. When it needs to be raised, the weight of the upper structure, all transferred to the climbing frame, then the hydraulic system starts. The entire tower crane is slowly lifted up. After a gap appears in the middle, then send in the new mast module from the side. Fix it once, and if not, do it again. The tower crane rises section by section like this. When the tower base rises to a high position, it must be connected to the building. To connect it to the building under construction. Otherwise, a strong wind may blow it into a lever. Because of this, when the wind speed exceeds 40 kilometers per hour, crane is prohibited from operating. In the stop state, the crane will even release the rotation brake and let it rotate freely along the wind direction to reduce the impact of wind load. This is the tower crane.